Wales. I was just down below whining to myself because I have accidentally deleted one of the videos I made of my departure from Southampton. I'm very short on SD cards and storage, and I obviously made a mistake when I was tired last night. I deleted the wrong thing. I thought I'd come up on deck just to kind of like get over it. There's these guys. Oh, who have now buggered off. So it was actually a very, very quick moment. Well, there you go. There's a reminder that whenever you think something's going terribly wrong, perhaps there's a pod of whales just off the stern. Maybe things aren't going to be so bad. I can remember having to do a giant mainsail repair in the Southern Ocean, and didn't sleep for like 36 hours, stitched all this thing back together again and got going. And when I put the sail up finally, there was this beautiful pod of, I think they're called Field's porpoises. They're black and white, they look like licorice comforts. And as the sail went up and it started to pull, I was absolutely knackered. And then this pod of porpoises were right alongside the boat, and like the burst of energy is like, oh my god. So they've gone, but they were here. All right, well, so I'm not sure where to put this video into the timeline of things. Maybe I'll just drop this in at the beginning instead of. So yes, I was thinking of you as I departed from Southampton, and I made a nice video all about how to get off the dock on a big boat and what you do, and then choosing whether to go west or whether to go east. And here we are one day from Iceland, and I have accidentally deleted it because it had a very similar title name to, there's departure from Southampton and there's first day at sea after Southampton. Ooh, deleted the wrong one. Okay, I'm going to go and have something to eat, and I'm going to have some coffee, and I'll get on with telling the story of the days after I left Southampton. So I've just engaged the autopilot for the first time. Otto is now driving, and I'm really happy immediately with this decision to go to the east. Like, it's blowing like 15 or 16 knots here in the Solent. I've got a lot of experience of beating up the Solent. It's beautiful, there's cows over here and Isle of Wight, but literally we're just coming onto course now to get into the channel to go down towards Portsmouth. Otherwise we're going exactly that way, directly into it right now, and then for the next 3 days. Like, no, I'm not doing that. So here we are, and we got to take that turn there. This is our first little challenge. It's quite narrow in there. We've got a lot of tide at the moment. Tide is flowing in towards us, but it's going to decrease as we go down towards Portsmouth and Gosport, and then we'll exit out through here. But first challenge is this bit, but yeah, we're not going that way. No. It's already a better choice.
Well, you see we've got some nice footage here going east down the English Channel. We've come from Southampton at the top of Southampton waters. We've taken first a southeasterly and then an easterly course going out through an area which is a massive fortification. Those two things ahead of us there on the water are massive forts from the Napoleonic Wars which secured this area against French attack. And there behind us is Portsmouth, which still has the British flagship HMS Victory in dry dock. The boat's now just starting to power up slowly. You see I've got the jib up, just slowly working her. We're doing about 6 or 7 knots here and finding our way down the channel and out into some more open water when we can then focus on getting that mainsail up.
Well, I fear that a lot of the footage I just shot of me putting the mainsail up was in quite a tight focus, but we'll see what we can salvage out of it. But anyway, you can see it's up now to second reef, and the rest of it's just hanging down below, because if you have a crude boat, like a Volvo 65 or something, you just let the mainsail hang down like that. As long as it's not going to be collecting water, which is not in these conditions, it's totally fine. In fact, I shouldn't really have pulled in the third reef as much as I have, because it's just kind of snagging the back of the sail. My preventer is not properly secure under there. That's just a kind of remnant from the last trip we did. I need to sort that out. And I've noticed that the bolt that goes through the end of the gooseneck needs to have its nut tightened up and secured. So I've got a few jobs to do. Obviously the gooseneck bolt is the one I'll be doing first, but I put it up to second reef now, and I like to slowly power the boat up after we haven't sailed for a while, after the boat's not been moving for a while. So if I've not been on the boat, if the boat hasn't been moving, or the two together, I like to bring the speed up slowly. I can listen to the rig, I can listen to the blocks making noises and things tensioning up, and I can look at things and slowly understand. So by the time I decided to put the main up, I knew that everything forward of the mast was okay. And then once that's in my head, I knew everything after the Traveller was okay, and I knew everything in the cockpit was okay. And then it's like, okay, where's the mainsail at? So I don't have to look now at like everything. I can just give the mainsail my focus. And also, did you see what I did with the main halyard? There's a fold of the main halyard there and another fold over here. And that's because if I'm going to shake out another reef, I only need to undo a bit of the halyard. If I need to put another reef in, I only need to move a bit of the halyard. It means that you're not having to deal with, it's a 120 foot mast and it's only a 1-to-1 halyard, but it means instead of having to deal with 120 foot of line all the time, or like on my open 60, it's a 100 foot mast, but it's a 3-to-1 halyard, so it's 300 foot of line in the cockpit. So just make it off in hanks for each reef, and you don't have to deal with it so much. Same with the jib halyard is here. I'm kind of not very happy about the jib halyard because it happens to have ended up that it's in this combo here: jib halyard, main halyard, reef line, and then the Cunningham is just sitting there in the jammer. The reef line which takes the most load, and I'd love to get other people's input on this, but I've always concluded that the reef line which takes the most load is the second reef. The first reef is not really, you know, this is if you're reefing at reasonable points. The first reef is not hiding away that much sail. The second reef is the one that you push and push and push because you don't want to put the third reef in, and by the time you're down to the third reef, there's so little sail showing that there's not that much pressure. So I believe, whether rightly or wrongly, the second reef is the one that takes the most hammer. So I'd like to have seen it on the other side, or at least I'd like to have seen the jib halyard on the other set of utility winches, leaving this one dedicated and free for the second reef line. But what I've done is just move the jib halyard back onto this primary winch, and then there's load on the winches. I never ever leave the load on the jammers or the clutches. The jammers here, we'll look at what a jammer versus a clutch is later. The jammers are rated for 17,000 pounds. So what's that? It's like 8 tons, something like that. The way they crush the rope, it doesn't really damage the rope, but if you're doing it all the time, it does in the end. Thousands of hours later, it does. So if you leave the load on the winch, then there's so much more rope distributing the load that it's very, very easy for the rope then. So I've got the jib halyard here, which is probably only really a couple of 100 kilos. The main halyard, which again is only a couple of 100 kilos. And then the reefer line, which is probably the most of all of those. ahead of us, not sure if you can see, but down there, and we saw it on the chart as well, there's a wind farm, and we're heading just for the northern edge of it. So we're slightly low, and then we'll heat up again. So we're doing, I think we're doing 8 or 9 knots. 9 knots, see this there? So that's nice. That's above what we were expecting for this run. In terms of, I put very, very conservative polar information into the weather routing, and then there's a good chance that I'm ahead of what it thinks I'm doing, certainly while the forecast is prescient and kind of accurate in the first 2 or 3 days of the forecast. It's all guesswork thereafter anyway, but it's very rarely not beneficial to be ahead of where you think you were going to be in sailing. So it's going to continue down here now with talking to you and finishing up bits in the cockpit, about half an hour. So I've just been lying down in the back of the cockpit there, and I need to put my phone on charge so I can relax and look at the phone, look at the autopilot, look around me, and I just got to capture back some hours. So I'll just be sleeping 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off. I've got to go to the chart table and get my little timer thing as well. That'll allow me to relax more, because I know there's something actually going to wake me up. So far so good. And again, this is very nice weather, and it's 25 knots down at Penzance. So the only thing that I'm worried about here is that we have to turn more and more north, and the wind is from the south down here. So we really want to see a little bit more either east or west come into that wind, so that we can get a reach up the eastern coast of the UK. If it's all from the south, then we're going to be onto spinnakers and things, which is a bit more hassle than I wanted to do really, but it could be interesting for you. So yeah, okay, so where are we? So Brighton, can't see much now, but Brighton is just over there, and the headland that's just ahead of us up here, that's Eastbourne. So I've just been looking at the chart, because obviously deciding to come west, look at the weather, it's just fantastic. You know, we're going downwind, there's 15, when you get a little white caps, you're normally in force 4, so there's a force 4 blowing, maybe 15, 16 knots going at the moment. And I was just considering the fact that, here we go, this is where we are now. So there's Brighton, there's Eastbourne, and you can see the tide is still against us now. It's just starting to turn. It's just starting to turn. So very, very soon, all these arrows start pointing the other way. And this evening, we're going to get flushed right through this very narrow part of the English Channel. It really is super narrow in here. Look, this is where people swim across. 22 miles across, like, you know, 44 kilometers across. So we're going to get flushed through. So we should be around to about here. See, 19, 10 hours, 9 hours. So 10 hours from now, that'd be 1 o'clock in the morning, and this will be 20, so give it a second to catch up. Let's call that 12 hours. So 3 o'clock in the morning will be like through, and then if we tap on a little doodad here, we said between 1, 2, 3 in the morning. So this lot is, what time is that? He's against us, 7:47 at night. 1 a.m. So 1 a.m. it's still flushing that way, and it turns at 3:30 a.m. So at this location, the tide only starts to turn at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to be here at 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's working out very, very well. But look how much is going on navigationally here. All of these marks, all this stuff. So we're only a little boat in the overall picture of things in the channel. We just got to stay in here and stay out of the main shipping lanes. Keep our nose clean up through here. If you cross into the shipping lane, that's a breach of the International Collision Regulations Rule 10, and in this area it's radar controlled, like they'll have you, so you've got to be very, very respectful. But so this is pretty nice, hey, look at this, we've got ourselves set up. Got the beanbag out, past the wind farm. We've got 2 hours till we get to the next mark, which is relatively close to land, so I can relax. Listening to the Joe Rogan podcast and monitoring the navigation on my phone here. I've got a nice bowl of pesto, got a drink, got my chopsticks, because I eat everything with chopsticks, and I'm going to relax and enjoy what's going on here. I've got an alarm set on my phone also for 30 minutes. I can just be on the boat and enjoy myself, whilst parallel universe me is beating like a crazy thing going west. This is a good decision.